Right. What are we talking about today?
Well, as you know, and as the listeners and read watchers are going to suddenly find out, I'm writing the direct mail manifesto. Because direct mail appears to be undergoing something of a resurgence, which is great. It's music to my ancient old ears, because that's my background, 20 years in direct mail, working at some of the highest levels. It's great. And this has been brought about by the increasing ineffectiveness and inefficiency of social media marketing, both free and paid, or paid and free. And I'm not going to go into all the reasons this is happening. I could do, and I've even done this to the extent I've used what is essentially schoolboy mathematics, schoolboy set theory, to demonstrate why this is happening. And people still don't want to believe it, even though the evidence is the empirical evidence is irrefutable, but so is the background, actual scientific, mathematical evidence why this is inevitable. But still, people don't want to believe it, or if they do believe it, they know it's happening, they're in denial and just forging ahead anyway, thinking it will somehow magically get better. And I want to impress on people why this won't happen. And there's a rational argument for it, but there's also a historical precedent. So, and we're talking specifically about LinkedIn, I guess, because that's the main business-to-business platform. But it's also going to be true of TikTok, Facebook advertising, Instagram, and any other, so even other brand new platform that comes about with advertising. Quora, for instance, not new, but the advertising is relatively new. It will happen. It's inevitable. And the way we can describe it is a convergence. So you've got your user in the middle who wants to, and I'm talking specifically about business owners now. It will probably apply to other realms of aspiration too, but business owners on, say, on LinkedIn, imagine them in the middle, and they're on the platform using it as a free platform. They want to use it to get business and make money. Fine. Now, in the good old days, bearing in mind LinkedIn is 23, 24 years old, it was easy because it was all brand new. Now, I talked about historical precedents. Let's look at, say, Google AdWords. And I know that's paid advertising, but it's no different. Or SEO. That's no different either. In the early days, it was fucking easy. Why? Because there was very little competition from the users, and the platform didn't really care. They just wanted to get traction in the marketplace. That's what they wanted to do. So Google AdWords was a free-for-all. You could do almost anything, and they didn't give a shit. And the same with SEO. You could stuff your pages with keywords, and you'd get to the top, and it was easy. So two things worked in your favor: the lax attitude of the platform, and the small user base, relatively unsavvy users, etc., etc., etc. So it was easy. Fast forward to today. Well, Google AdWords needs to turn my panties off. Google AdWords is incredibly difficult because it's, we get what we call the big fish kind of thing happening, where you get a pond and all the fish look about the same size. You keep feeding them, and all of a sudden, one is a bit more successful, gets big, grows bigger, and that snowballs. So 6 months, year later, you got one big fish and a load of fucking tiny ones. It's been like that on the social media platforms as well. It's inevitable. There's probably a mathematical description of this somewhere, why this happens. Okay, so we see it on Google AdWords too. There's a relatively small number in most of the popular niches. There's a relatively small number of very successful advertisers, and the rest are scrabbling around for the scraps. It's happened on Facebook. It's happened on Instagram. It's inevitable. It will always happen. Happens in the free space too. One or two, or because it's such a huge user base, you have a lot of influencers, maybe dozens, hundreds, thousands possibly of influencers. But for every influencer who's successful, for every child on YouTube of 8 years old who's making $1 million a year reviewing games, there's probably 20 million who are just fucking doing nothing. This is inevitable. It's like a lottery, except the numbers are probably worse than a lottery. So we have that. So what worked, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, in fact, the person we were discussing just before we came on air, who's switching to focusing on business owners, This is exactly what happened to him. He became very successful on social media, the free stuff, with the general population, but it's found out they got no fucking money. But he still teaches what he did to get successful. Well, that doesn't work anymore. It worked 10 years ago, 8 years ago, doesn't work anymore. Because these things change, things evolve. So that's inevitable too. So this is why, from the user's point of view, it's getting harder. You've got more competition. There are more people who are more savvy. On most of the mature platforms, the big fish thing has already happened. It's inevitable, and it's just going to keep getting harder and harder. So we see people complaining, saying it's not as effective. My reach has gone down. It's the algorithm. Don't even get me started on that. Talk about that in a moment. All these things are happening, and they seem to think that if they just keep posting, keep doing a little bit more, stick with it, it'll get better. It won't. Any improvements they see will be marginal at best and incremental, but it will probably get worse because they're being pushed up. There's a pressure from underneath, squeezing them from the bottom. More users, more savvy users. Everyone's getting wise to the tricks. And the thing about the tricks, right, and the hacks. Think about LinkedIn. There are basically 4 ways you can express yourself on LinkedIn. There's video, there's images, there are carousels, which are really just sequences of images, and then there is text. So video, text, carousels, and images. So there's four ways you can express yourself. That's it. And you're even limited to what you can say because of the rules. Now we get into the territory of the pressure from the top. Okay? They have policies. Video can only be 10 minutes long. All right? You can only have so many thousand characters in your post. You are limited to what you do in terms of quantity. But also, you can't just post anything you like. If you piss off too many people, you get reported. You might get the post cancelled, removed, banned. You might get banned. Facebook, for instance, you can't, if you're advertising, you can't use before and after shots of weight loss. For instance, you're not allowed to make things specific to you. You are this. You know this. You're an expert at this. So constraints from the platform mean that the way you can express yourself is very narrow. So it's even worse. You've got more people, more savvy people, okay, all being more aware of what you can do, so that they're all getting more expertise in this, more savvy, as I just said. But also, you're all constrained to a fairly narrow way of expressing yourself. What you can say, how you can say it. And then from the top. Okay, so these policies do come from the top, these limits. But what else comes from the top? Well, think of it this way. LinkedIn is a business. They want to make money. So they themselves have 2 conflicting things they have to juggle. One is they need to keep the free users happy because, the old saying, if you can't see what the product is, you are the product. Well, on LinkedIn, the product for the vast majority of paying people is the free people. And now LinkedIn want people to pay for the premium memberships and advertising. Well, for that to be attractive, there's got to be a large user base of free users, really, who are going to respond to these things. So they need to keep that user base happy enough to stay on the platform. Yeah? But they don't want to make them too happy because then they won't pay for the paid stuff. Why would you advertise on LinkedIn or pay a premium rate for a membership if you can get everything just with the free? So there's this constant testing going on. This is why LinkedIn keep changing things. It's not really about giving the users the best experience. It's about giving the users the best experience commensurate with LinkedIn's profits. Well, that's fine. It's a business. Anyone who doesn't understand that or thinks it's wrong is a fucking idiot. So LinkedIn will continue to fart around, and the pressure will always be in the back of LinkedIn, that their executives' mind will be, how can we get more people into the paid services to leech off the free ones? There's always going to be this kind of balance going on. LinkedIn doesn't care about your success on the platform. They care about you staying on the platform. If to keep you on the platform means leading you on with a carrot, so your success is always a few more posts down the line, keep on a little bit longer, keep you engaged in the platform, that's what they will do. Yeah, they don't care about you making money, they care about you staying on the platform. Yeah?
Easy way to prove this. Put a sales post up. pure sales with a clear call to action, directing them off-site, you will get fuck all reach. Fuck all. They will limit the amount of people in your ideal market that will see said post. Then post a picture of yourself with a dog or a baby and write how looking after this, it gives you a real sense of accomplishment and about how you love them so much, with no call to action, short and sweet, lots of emojis, and a picture of a cute baby and a dog. And it will reach so many fucking people. So many fucking people. So many. Because people are on there to see whether they like it or not. People, when they see those sort of photos, they react with them. They stay on site that little bit longer. LinkedIn don't want you posting things that will take them off site.
Yeah. So,
simple.
Anyone who doesn't understand this is perfectly normal and perfectly okay. It's like, excuse me, mistake. It is a business. So we've got users in the middle being pushed from the bottom, pushed from the top. And that gap is going to get narrower and narrower, and the pressure is going to get more and more and more. And eventually, it'll get to a point where nothing much changes. It doesn't get much worse. It doesn't get any better because, there's only so much you can do. Things will continue to change a little bit. They'll tweak and test, but, again, these things are inevitable. The first, in 80-20 terms, 80% of the changes will happen in the first 20% of the time. Then it'll just kind of carry on. But my point is this: it'll reach this homogenous mass of people on LinkedIn who are just scraping by, because it's in LinkedIn's interest for people on the free plans to scrape by, so they keep doing it. If it's too bad, they won't stay, so they want them to stay. But they don't want it too good that they won't pay for the upgrades. So this is your future on LinkedIn. Now, there will be some exceptions. Okay, there will be some people who become very popular influencers. And there are some people whose businesses, which are not influencers for the sake of being influencers, but whose businesses will benefit from influencer status. Such as, for instance, if you're a CV writer, it's going to work really well for you being an influencer. Because everybody who needs a CV and also engages the broad, everyone in every job, in every niche, in every industry could do with a CV. So your potential client base is really fucking wide. So it matches quite well with the kind of people who are going to be interested in your name drivel. But these are exceptions. And the chances are you ain't one of them. If you're in, say, any form of construction, it ain't going to work. If you're in our line of work, almost certainly never going to work. So the number of businesses, the kind of businesses where you will benefit from influence status are pretty fucking limited. And unless you want to, why do you want to be an influencer anyway? I really don't know. But some people do. That guy we were talking about before we came on air, he does. He loves the ego drive. Yeah. And he recognises it too, and he hates it in himself. But hey, that's for him to work on, not me. Ironically, he coaches people.
Irony is powerful. No, absolutely not.
So this is what I mean.
I understand what you mean. I think you've laid it out pretty clearly that anyone listening to this understands as well. And I just want to make a quick note for those who will say, well, I know X person and they get loads of clients through social media. And that may be true. But there's one thing I can promise you: the vast majority of those clients are flakes. They're low paying. They don't stay. They maybe buy one thing, ask for a refund, cause a stink, or they're extremely difficult to deal with. That's the caliber of client that tends to come from social media.
This is what this guy is finding. Now, here's another thing as well. Looking at the successes is meaningless until you also look at the failures. There's a guy whose name escapes me. It was Adam someone or other, I believe, who fell 18,000 feet. Well, he actually jumped out of a burning and crashing Lancaster bomber during the war. He fell 18,000 feet without a parachute, landed in a tree, and survived with nothing more than a few cuts and bruises. Now, you could look at him and say, jumping out of a Lancaster bomber is perfectly safe. This guy did it, look. But what about the hundreds of thousands of airmen who didn't survive a fall from 18,000 feet, either in or out of a plane? So there's no benefit in looking at the successes unless you look at the numbers of the failures too. Same with the lottery. Yeah, somebody wins the lottery. Of course they do. But are you really going to bet your fucking farm on it being you when there are literally millions, tens of millions who don't? Well, it's the same here. For every success on social media, there are tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands, maybe millions who don't. And it's nothing to do with what they do. It really is down to luck most of the time. Really is. Anything like that has to be down to luck.
Yeah. And furthermore, if you want to build... Look, John is an incredibly smart man. And I wish I didn't have to say this whilst he's here. So if John could leave the room and come back in. John's an incredibly smart man. And he can be cold and he can be frosty. And he might be cold and frosty to you. But even when he's being cold and frosty to you, 99% of the time he wants what's best for you. And if you're a prospect, a target, a client, whatever, you're in our world by choice or by accident or because we've chosen that you're going to be fucking here. He wants the best for you. And if social media was the best route, we'd be sat here saying, do it. We're doing it. All of our clients are doing it. Just fucking do it. And we'd be talking about the exact best way to do it. And we'd be at the cutting edge of it, and we'd be sharing exactly what you need to be doing, when you need to be doing it, and how it needs to be done. But no, we're sat here talking shit on it. And if you still find yourself reaching to open LinkedIn, perhaps even whilst you're listening to this podcast, it's because you're addicted to it. It is not the best way to win clients. If you want a proper business, a proper grown-up business, follow the advice of a marketer who's worked with some of the biggest names around, run some incredibly successful campaigns, get off the socials, build a proper big boy business, one that's built on concrete, not on the shifting fucking sands of social media, and start sending shit in the mail to win clients.
Why are you being so nice to me? What are you after?
Well, as I said, I'd rather you not be here, not be in the room.
You're after something, aren't you?
You gone bright red, mate.
Tell.
You're a beetroot. You gone bright red. You're a beetroot. You love me.
It's warm in here. It's warm. It's warm in here.
Seriously though, that's all I can say to all of the listeners. Whether you've been sent something in the post and you're checking us out, whether you've been in our world for years, John's really fucking good at this shit. I leave him alone and say, John, we need to do something. He's the one that figures out who we're going to send it to, the hook, the offer, all of that shit. He's at the cutting edge. And when John says direct mail is the way to go, Connor, cut the marketing budget, tell the team we need to shift operations. I do exactly that. Because, again, John, just fucking leave. It feels weird saying this with you here. John knows what he is on about. All you have to do is look at the long client list that has run through Elite and the successes they've unfortunately had to face.
Keep going. Don't stop.
I'm done.
Don't stop.
I feel a bit stick.
No, but joking aside, and there's no false modesty, I do know what I'm talking about, and I've been doing this for 20 years. And I have worked with some of the biggest names out there. And I've also had some big names come through me as clients and go on to much greater things than I've ever done. And that's fine. I'm not in it for the same reasons they are. But we go on about direct mail a lot now. Not because we're selling direct mail. It's the other way around. We're selling direct mail because it fucking works. You know? We're not claiming it works because we sell it. That's the only reason we're doing it.
Yes, it works. We can also show you how to get a Facebook ad to work, a YouTube ad to work. But it's hard to fucking work. And things can change in an instant. And if you're a serious business owner listening to this and you are winning clients through either organic or paid social medias, bravo. We're not telling you to stop. We're just giving a fair warning. And you might experience some of the symptoms that we talk about. Shit clients that don't stick around, low paying, all of that jazz. This is the episode for it. But listen to us. If your business is built on that, it is built on SAD, it can go overnight. If you don't believe us, go look at the Google AdWords apocalypse, the SEO apocalypse. Go look at what's happening with Facebook now and how fucking chaotic that has been and will continue to be so because Apple essentially bent them over a barrel. The only safe haven right now is YouTube, and everybody is scrambling to YouTube trying to figure that out. And yet, fair play. If you can get it to work, it's really fucking profitable. but things will change on YouTube much like they have on every other platform. Then you'll have your hand on your dick, nowhere to come, and you'll be looking for another social media place. But this shit doesn't happen with direct mail. You build it once, you get it working, then you send it and send it and send it. And the biggest thing, just let me finish. I was speaking to someone the other day, good friend, old client, prospect. I was talking to him about this, and he's tried really hard to get the social thing working, spent a shit ton of money on it. I said to him, yeah, have you thought about direct mail? And he was like, not really. So we had a short conversation about it. By the end of it, he went on like a 5-minute rant about how he needs to be sending direct mail to make him feel like he's got a solid, stable business, because we went into the details of how shaky social media is.
I was talking to a lady the other day over WhatsApp. So it's a combination of text and voice notes. And she's got a pretty successful social media marketing agency. And ironically, and this is actually true across the board, the people who are doing best on social media aren't doing social media marketing as it's typically taught. What they're doing is they're applying traditional marketing methods to social media as a medium. There's a subtle difference there, and this is what she's doing. And she's doing really well. She's got a long waiting list, and her bottleneck is she can't get people onboarded quickly enough. So she needs to build a team and that kind of thing. But she says she's also got this niggling fear in the back of her mind. And this is not an irrational fear she's got. This is actually, I think this is a bigger problem for her, potentially. And I want her to see this. Her danger is this. She works exclusively on LinkedIn. So she gets her clients from LinkedIn and she helps them get their clients on LinkedIn. Yeah. So that's her business model. She is painfully aware to the point it's a real concern for her, and it should be. If anything happens to LinkedIn, either from the extreme of her losing her account to things changing enough that what she does becomes less effective, and she's finding it harder and harder. If that happens, what does she do? She hasn't got a business anymore. And here's the thing, it's worse because every point or every loss of effectiveness and efficiency affects her twice. It doesn't just affect her. So it affects her ability to get clients, but it also affects her clients' ability to get clients. So it compounds. Okay. So she gets this double whammy. So she's thinking, what do I do? Well, my advice to her was very simple. And I gave it to her for free because, it didn't cost me anything. And she's not in a position to join us anyway like that. My point to her was, well, the easy thing for you to do is apply the marketing skills you already have to other media. Get them in through social media and then sell them the rest. Just like Dan Kennedy told me to do. And when I had my day with Dan. Whether she'll do that or not, I don't know. But she's got a very smart plan there if she does it. But here's the thing. People will say, oh, it will never happen. Okay? Facebook's huge. LinkedIn's huge. Yeah. MySpace was huge. X was huge. Now it's not quite the same. It's still huge, but it's not quite the same, is it?
Clubhouse.
Who remembers friendsreunited.com? You don't even remember it. That was probably one of the original social media sites. Now it's just a fucking ghost. I think it might even be defunct. Friendsreunited.com, MySpace, Clubhouse. And then the ones that are still around but probably fading into obscurity. Tumblr, Pinterest, Periscope.
Forgot about all of those, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're nothing. Well, there's nothing. There may be social media platforms around the corner which will do the same to Facebook and possibly LinkedIn as Facebook did to MySpace. We just don't know. We can't know. But to say it can't or won't happen is ridiculous.
It did. And just, again, beyond all of that, do you want your business built on principles, core principles that don't change, built on a sales and marketing system that you essentially have 100% control over? Essentially, not completely. Shit can get lost in the post. They may change the laws around direct mail, but John's spoken many a time about why that won't happen. You can have a business built on principles with a sales and marketing mechanism that you control fully. Would you want one built on the shifting sands of social media where you have to read weekly articles about here's what's new in the algorithm, people fucking moonlighting that they understand what's going on, here's the updated rule set? Of course they don't. It's an easy choice. It's an easy, the one that you can control and rarely changes versus the one that's always fucking changing and you have no control over. Put it this way, in my heyday running Facebook ads for clients, some clients were willing and able to spend £1,000 a day on ads. Facebook didn't go down. Nothing happened. Just one day Facebook stopped spending the money. It just stopped. The adverts wouldn't spend money, no matter what we did. We duplicated the campaigns, we edited them, we did everything that was inside our control. Facebook wouldn't spend the money, even though we said spend £1,000 a day on this. So we contacted support and they said, we don't know either. It should start spending in the next couple of days. Are you kidding me? They essentially went 4 days of the year with no marketing. They lost 4 days. What that equates to in revenue, I don't know. I can't remember the numbers. But they had no control. There was fuck all they could do about it. And what's worse, there was fuck all the platform could do about it. It wasn't like, oh, you've broken this rule, you need to change this. They just went, yeah, we didn't know how to figure this out. Glitch in the system.
Well, here's the thing, you say. If these systems are being run, I mean, people say they know, oh, I understand the algorithm. They don't. They really don't. I could do an hour's podcast on why they don't easily. Just
no one would listen. But you could do it.
It's a mathematically intractable problem to reverse engineer an algorithm from its outputs. It's virtually impossible. This is why cryptography works. Anyway, or it's connected with that anyway. So, what these algorithms, and there's more than one, what they undoubtedly are is heuristic algorithms. They're AI basically. So even the people who originally coded those algorithms 2 years, 10 years, 5 years ago, even they don't know how they work anymore because they've changed. They are self-modifying. They'll have a rule set they apply to it, but then it just goes off and does its own thing and learns. Well, it would be an intractable problem to go through it and figure out exactly what it's doing. It's like your kids. They get to the point where they become autonomous. It's not quite the same, and all analogies break down as this one will, but these algorithms are now largely autonomous in what they do. And it's not a trivial fucking task to sit there and say, yeah, let's change this. Let's figure out why this is happening. We've got no idea. They'd probably be better off asking the algorithm to tell them why it was fucking not doing it. You know? These things are incredibly complex, which is great. I mean, if you're running a website like I've been doing with flat files, HTML, and you ask ChatGPT, write me some HTML to do this, great. Yeah? But please don't trust it to run your algorithms. Yeah.
I think there's an easy way to end this.
Yeah.
If you think for any reason that we might know a little bit more about sales and marketing than you, whether you've been in our world for a couple of days or a couple of years or longer, it's not uncommon. If you think we are that little bit smarter than you when it comes to this shit, then trust us, because we're moving all of our time, effort, budget,
we've done
spare minutes, thoughts, all offline. We're done. We're done with online. We've always kept a foot in the online camp, but we're done with it. Yes, you will see shit come out from us on our LinkedIn before you get on your high horse. It's not us doing it. It's there defensively for reasons that we're not going to go into right now. Quite frankly, you have to pay us for that level of intellect and insight. And we think you should make the same decision. And if you want to make that same decision, then you should email holly@wellfedbusiness.com and she'll shoot you details on how you two can set your shit up offline. Paid for, of course. You'll be paying us. We're not a charity. But my God, be some good fucking money spent.
Yes. I think we've done.
And on that note, see you later, shaggers.